there. I'm continuing on with the paper piercing pack from the main Stampin' Up! Catalog with some ideas on how to use this even if you don't have all of the punches and dies that work with it. And I had this idea for using this really pretty image, and then I was flipping through the Stampin' Up! Catalog the other day, and they did something very similar to what I'm going to do. They only used one row, I think it was this inside row. I'm going to use both the inside and the outside row for this card. The first thing I need to do, though, is to take my card front, or my paper that's cut the same size as the card front, and mark the center points. So this will be 2 1/8, and I'm going to do this on both ends, and I'll erase this little mark later on. I also found it helpful when I was playing with this to use a piece of tape. I used this edge of this design over on the right side of my card to line up the image so it was nice and straight. But to keep everything from shifting, I went ahead and taped the template down in the very center. I'm going to be putting something else over the center, so it doesn't matter about the tape. It's not going to hurt anything. And I'm going to, when I remove it, so I'm going to go ahead and start here and paper pierce around the outside edge, and I'm going to do both this outside edge and the inside, just from the scallop part around to the other side and the scallop part. So I'll punch all of that, and then I'll turn it around and we'll do the other side. And I'm just flipping it around and doing the same thing, lining up this edge, or using the edge to keep everything straight, but lining it up with my center mark and letting the tape hold it in place while I punch again around the outside edge and the inside edge from the scallop over to the scallop, including all the points. Okay, I have both ends paper pierced, and this is a piece of Melonberry cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, and it happens to go with the papers that I'm going to be using in just a few moments. And I'm going to set this aside because I'm going to be working on what goes in the middle. So I have a piece of cardstock that's slightly larger than my stamped area. The stamped area is a little bit less than 4 inches. I think it's 3 7/8 by 2 inches high. And I'm going to put a background image on this first, and this is a little bit older stamp from an old Hostess set. You could use any leaf or flower design. You just want to, have something pretty in the background because it's a fairly large block for the sentiment. I have this ink. This is new to me, Hero Arts Shadow Ink in Soft Cantaloupe. So I'm going to ink up my stamp here, and then stamp off, and I want a really good stamp off because I don't want a lot of ink left on my stamp. Because I just want a nice faint image there. And then the greeting image I have, this is also from an older set, but it's a really popular one that fits into the space very nicely. I'm going to use some markers to color it in different parts. I'm going to start with the words, which I'm coloring in Ruby Red. Ruby Red is also an older color. The other ink colors I'm using are current. But I like this one because it goes really well with coral and peachy tones. More so, I think, than some of the other reds. And gray for the ampersand. And not quite navy for the happy birthday. All right. Now, before I put this on my card, I've got a couple of things I want to do. One, I want to take the half-inch circle punch. The half-inch circle punch has a place on the back, you can kind of see an intersection of these lines, and it creates these 4 little triangles. Those are a perfect way to do a notch on the corner. There's a notch punch, but this is a way to get a notch without having to own that punch. You just put the corner of your paper in until it lines up in the center with each of those lines, and then punch it. And I do this a lot to get what looks like a frame punch around any size square or rectangle that I want to do. Now this is what's going in the center of my card, but I want a little bit more stuff there before I put it in. I have some designer paper from My Mind's Eye. This is the Miss Caroline dolled up designer pack that I've used for some of these other cards. And I've got my scallop punch, and I'm going to punch out this design. I'm centering it in the punch. And it will fit really nicely right behind my sentiment. And so I can glue those down, but I think my corners need something. So I also have this paper from the same paper pad, and I'm going to use the scallop punch again. Punch that out, and I'm going to cut it in half. Then cut it in half again. And cut this one in half again. And these will fit in the 4 corners. And so once I get everything glued down, this it completes my card front. I'm going to probably attach this with dimensionals. I'll show you a completed one. I have another sample here that I did earlier today, and I used dimensionals on this part. One of the things I really like about this card is that there's a lot going on, but it's not bulky. When I mail it, it's pretty flat, and I think I can do it with one stamp. And it really didn't take any special tools beyond the things that I had, just a couple of very simple punches and the paper piercing pack and a basic background stamp and a sentiment stamp. So no ribbons or extra stuff that I might need. Thanks for joining me today, and please visit my blog for more information.